Once upon a time, in a mystical African village, there lived a great king named Julius. He ruled his kingdom with wisdom and grace and was adored by his people. King Julius had a son named Andrew, who was the apple of his eye and heir apparent to the throne. Prince Andrew was a handsome, kind, and gentle young man, loved and admired by all the village ladies. Despite his royal origins, Andrew loved a simple communal life. He sought adventure in the vast farmlands surrounding the village. One fateful day, as Andrew was climbing one of the farm's highest granaries, tragedy struck. He accidentally missed a step, fell from a great height, and broke his neck. The prince lay unconscious, his life hanging by a thread. News of the prince's accident spread like wildfire through the village, and the whole community was plunged into despair. King Julius, filled with worry and despair, summoned all the powerful healers in the land to save his beloved son. But despite their best efforts, the prince remained in a deep coma, unresponsive to any treatment. The king's heart was tortured by fear. Andrew was his only son, and the future of their kingdom. Without an heir, the throne could pass to someone else, and King Julius couldn't let that happen. He cried out to the gods, begging them to intervene and heal his son. The villagers joined in the prayers and sacrifices, hoping for a miracle. After 7 long days, a great seer arrived at the palace with a glimmer of hope. He said that the gods had revealed to him that a young lady from the village was pregnant with Prince Andrew's child. The seer added, however, that the gods had not revealed the lady's identity. King Julius's heart swelled with joy at the thought of an unborn child who could inherit his throne in the event of misfortune for his son. He knew he had to find the lady as soon as possible to secure the future of his kingdom. News of the prince to be spread like wildfire, and soon almost every lady in the village was arriving at the palace, claiming to be pregnant with the prince's child. Deep in the village lived a beautiful young lady named Hannah. She had been in a secret relationship with Prince Andrew for a long time. Their love was hidden from the prying eyes of the village. Several days before the prince's accident, Hannah had discovered that she was pregnant with his child and planned to tell the prince before the tragic accident that had left him in a coma. Fearing that no one would believe her because of her humble origins, Hannah kept her pregnancy a secret. She was helping her mother in the garden when her best friend Sally came running to her. Sally informed Hannah of the gathering of ladies at the palace, all claiming to be pregnant with the prince's child. Shocked and worried, Hannah confided in Sally, revealing her own pregnancy. Sally, consumed by the desire to become queen too, burst out laughing and set off on her return journey. Sally hatched a plan. She said to herself, "Since the prince is in a coma and can't speak, you all claim to be pregnant with his child. You all want to be queen, don't you? All right, let's all play this game." When Hannah arrived at the palace, she was amazed to see her friend Sally among the ladies claiming to be pregnant with the prince's child. The king, equally astonished, questioned all the ladies about the reason for their gathering. The seer had said that only one lady was carrying the prince's child, so why were they all pretending to be pregnant? Each lady insisted that the prince had impregnated them before the accident. Faced with the confusion in the palace, King Julius, a wise ruler, decided to subject the ladies to a series of tests to determine the legitimacy of their claims. The tests were due to start in 7 market days. During these 7 days, the village was abuzz, the markets were bustling, and the men were busy while the ladies who had claimed pregnancy earlier were looking for someone to sleep with them and potentially get them pregnant. So determined to beat everyone at this game, Sally kept her distance from Hannah, who was unaware of her friend's deception. On the 7th day, all the pregnant ladies gathered at the palace. The village's famous midwife, Yara, was called in to confirm the pregnancies. To everyone's surprise, Yara declared that all the ladies were indeed pregnant. A new test was announced, a seed planting test. Each lady was invited to plant a special seed in Prince Andrew's garden, symbolizing the life growing inside her. The village herbalist had performed a ritual on the land, ensuring that only the lady carrying the prince's child would have the healthiest plant. As the days passed, all the plants began to grow, but Hannah's plant stood out as the healthiest and brightest. Sally, consumed by envy and despair, couldn't bear to see Hannah succeed. In the middle of the night, she sneaked into the garden while the gods were asleep and destroyed all the plants, hoping to sabotage Hannah's chances. The next day, the whole village gathered in the garden to witness the revelation of the test results. To their dismay, all the plants had withered. The herbalist, devastated by the turn of events, announced that the gods had revealed a final test. This test would not only identify the mother of the prince's unborn child, but could also cure the prince himself. All the ladies were instructed to seek the water of life from the magic river in the heart of the forest. The water brought by the real mother of the prince's child would have the power to heal him. What's more, she would become the princess and future queen of the village. However, whoever failed the test would become the queen's slave, serving her for the rest of their lives as punishment for their lies and deceit. At the mention of this punishment, many of the ladies recoiled, confessing that they had lied and that other men in the village had impregnated them. They were forgiven, but lived the rest of their lives in shame. Only Sally refused to back down. Unable to bear the thought of Hannah becoming queen, she had a plan and was ready to risk everything. So, heavily pregnant, Hannah and Sally set off on a journey to find the water of life from the magic river. The former best friends had become fierce rivals, each vying for the title of future queen of the land. On the way back, exhausted by the journey, Hannah decided to rest. Sally seized the opportunity and exchanged the jars of water. She took Hannah's water, believing that since she was truly pregnant with the prince's child, her water held the power to heal him. Sally was convinced that she would pass the test that changed the water, and that Hannah would become her slave. When they arrived at the palace, the whole village was waiting for them to return, their hopes in balance. Sally, filled with false confidence, entered first to present her water to the prince. To her dismay, nothing happened. Confused and desperate, she wondered why the water she'd exchanged hadn't worked. Then it was Hannah's turn, unaware that Sally had exchanged their water. With sincerity and love in her heart, she administered the miraculous water. The prince jerked upright, his eyes barely opening. It wasn't the water, but the person administering it. Hannah's genuine connection with the prince had brought him back from the brink of death. The whole village erupted in joy and celebration, as the poor girl, who had never believed herself worthy of the prince, was crowned princess and future queen. Months later, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy, the young prince who would one day inherit the throne. Hannah and Prince Andrew married and lived happily ever after, ruling their kingdom with love and compassion. As for Sally, Her deception and her envy cost her dearly. She spent the rest of her life as a slave, a fate she had tried to impose on Hannah.